Roots 101 Deeply Rooted. From the vibrant and storied heart of America, brought to you by the Roots 101 African American Museum. This is the Deeply Rooted Podcast, where we pay homage to the unsung heroes, the pillars of our community, the inventors, the artists, the activists, and our ancestors by highlighting Black excellence of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Your guide on this journey, none other than the passionate and insightful Lamont Collins, a visionary, a mentor, a scholar, and most importantly, a griot of African American history and culture. So sit back, tune in, and let's dive deep into the rich soil as we get deeply rooted.
Hey everybody, Lamont Collins, Deeply Rooted Podcast. My guest today is this young king, Mario Duerson. Mario and Roots 101 go way back, but he's always continued to work, and now he's way forward. And I love what he's doing, and I brought him here today to talk to you about what he's doing with Tech at Night. Mario Duerson. What's up, Mario?
Hey, what's up, Mr. Lamont? Yes, we do go back a long way. Actually, from, what was it? We started with the fundraiser video.
Yeah.
That fundraiser video was at Encore before it became the Black Jockey Line.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
And then we kicked off talking about different things that can happen at the first museum. COVID kicked in.
That's right.
You know, we did a lot of, actually the AR, VR stuff, we was already in the capacity of doing all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for y'all out there that don't know, we've been on it.
Yeah, right. Tell people about Tech at Night and what you do in this community with young people.
Okay, so basically what we do, we go out to the community centers, public and private, schools as well, and we teach them artificial intelligence, and we train them up on soft skills and hard skills in the realms of tech as well as vocational trades. And we use XR technologies to help increase or to speed up their learning. So we take them through MXBC Live, which is miniature exposure boot camps or experience boot camps, in which we'll take you through the training, the workshops, and the role play based upon the community partner needs. So if Roots needed different jobs at the location, we'll take the needs of Roots, and we will put them into programming training modules, and we'll train the students up on that, and then we'll place them inside the job.
Right. You said a lot of stuff an old man didn't understand. I tell you that all the time. So with the tech that you do, when you say technology, AI, tell people what that means. Because I think a lot of people know, a lot of people don't know. So what does Tech at Night do for young people? How does that work?
Okay, so basically what we do is we do assessments. So we create these miniature exposure boot camps. The students will come in and they will go into these headsets. And in the headsets, they will have career-ready simulations inside the headsets. And in the headsets, we have the AI, which is, say, a coach, mentor, or trainer, helping facilitate the learning pathway for the actual learner. Mm-hmm. Those skills could be in soft skills. We work with OSHA, in which we teach conflict resolution and violence prevention, and we use creative measures. So we put together, say, like a program in XR production. So they will go in.
So it's in the headsets.
Yep, it's in the headset. They'll put the headset on. First, they'll script out, create a storyboard of what that production would look like inside, right? That storyboard is related to the conflict resolution and violence prevention. Mm-hmm. We'll take that, create the scene for them, and they will come in and act out those scenarios and give us feedback on how they felt in that scenario and what would their thought process be as far as them making a decision in the scenarios that we present.
Okay, so basically, let me see that. So basically, you've put in the situation in the headsets, time, place, atmosphere, and then somebody pulls a gun, right? Mm-hmm. And they actually seeing the gun being pulled in front of them, right? They're seeing all this in the headset. And you teaching them or showing them what did you do at that point in time. You kind of dealing with the mind, body, and soul type of thing,
give
right?
them scenarios.
So that makes it real because it is real in their mind, yeah.
Right. So when they point the gun at you in there, it gives you a sense of this is a real gun being pointed at you. And in that scenario, that avatar is acting out. The avatar could be an AI NPC, which is a non-player character, or it can be the actual person inside the avatar acting out the role. So with that, we created a program called New NFT, which is newfound talent, and we doing kind of like a think of like how Wild 'N Out is. We create this talent show where all these different learners get to go in and use the same scenario, but we'll see how their performance is, how they act out the scenario. In acting it out, they better acclimate themselves with the scenario.
Hmm.
So they learn it by learning the acting roles, the production roles, because they have to know exactly what the individuals are going to go
Right.
through.
So you're really creating a life on life, proposition in a sense that I'm living this while I'm living here, right? Basically, but out of the danger, but mentally you're dealing with it mentally, right?
Right.
So how do kids react to stuff like that? How's it working?
Well, it's been very insightful. One, when the kids get in, it's such a real scenario that some of the kids, you would hear them like, "Hey," you know what I'm saying, or make real expressions and have real reactions from the scenarios based on how real it is, and it gives a sense of presence. From there, we allow our trainers, our XRT trainers, that walks around and assist them while they're in the headset, or we can be in the metaverse with them. So they can all be in a safe place. We can be in there running these exercises, but we also can assess them on how they are responding to the information. So if one say, "Oh, that's too much," we'll know, okay, we'll pull them out,
Okay.
talk to them a little bit,
Mhm.
let them know. And some of them, like you'll see, they will actually get into the scenario. You be like, "Oh, hey, you okay?" You know what I'm saying? But it gives them the ability to see and experience that without actually being in the face of a real gun because of a decision they made or something they said out their mouth that may incite someone to bring harm to them. So
Okay.
it's like if you're in a scenario and you see this, you're in the classroom and you have people acting out, and these people are, they tied into, say, gang violence, or they tied into various elements in the community that you don't want to associate yourself with, but you are fearful of that. So a lot of the students don't know how to really respond because of the peer pressure.
Right.
So we put them in those scenarios where they can act it out, but also here's some resources if these scenarios do
Right.
happen.
So it's always conflict resolution.
Well, conflict resolution is one of the campaigns we run in with OSHA,
Mhm.
and on our default, we teach you the skills, the software, the hardware, right, to have a command of the device. But on that, we use the devices to create real world scenarios so that that individual can up and increase their social aptitude,
Mhm.
their ability to assess social situations that are unfolding in real time, and have the critical thinking to be able to make those assessments and those judgments without too much emotion hindering that process.
So do these kids actually build their models too, or you have preset equipment that's doing this?
Good point. So what we do is we have like three teams. So we have the XRT team, which is the instructor, the junior trainer, and the admin, which is the device manager. So someone will actually work and onboard the students into the LMS system. The LMS system that is online is also in the headset, right?
Mhm.
So they'll go into kiosks, they'll log into the LMS system. The LMS system will send them the links and make it available for them to go from a website, then into the immersive environment.
Hmm.
So it's in person, online, and in the metaverse. And in those 3 cycles, we make an assessment on how you interact with the content along the way.
Right. And so this is dealing with violence, but you also have ways that we talked about when we first started. We could put them in history, time and place in history. We put them in a museum.
Yes.
So the technology you're using can be used in all things. Is that correct?
Yes. So education, business, and entertainment are the industries that we teach in. And speaking on history in particular, we have, of course, what we did with Roots 101. We have a metaverse environment in which we have videos and stuff like that in the metaverse. But we also want to go into, say, building, like how we created the 10 models for the art, for the exhibits. We could do storytelling around these exhibits. And one of the things that we want to do with Roots 101 is have it to where students, show the educational capabilities. Because working with some of the partners, they may have like specific things that they want done for their audience. So if we're doing after school, they want enrichment programs, but we can't do like a full scale development. So we use prefabs. And then we have, over the last 2 to 3 years, we've been doing work we've created our own like default assets to jumpstart the students into building the environments,
Mhm.
and then being able to add like sound design, being able to add different types of elements to the environment. Once we get them to where they understand the fundamentals of it, we want to have the students, those who are maybe underage, those who are of age that can be paid to now work with our community partners to be able to build these assets and show the the power and the proudness of being able to create these assets in um, quickly, because that's one of the biggest issues. A lot of people say, what about we need some social media content? And we seeing that the content on social media is changing a lot because it's the demand.
Mhm.
It's like you got to create this high quality content
Mhm.
and have it going all the time. So with that, we say, okay, well, we need more of our people in the market,
Mhm.
because the issue is in our communities, many of the nonprofits or businesses are one person owners, and they don't necessarily have the workforce to actually level up their business or to create more jobs, and it's based upon what? Human capital. But the human capital has to understand how to actually do the work. So we use the tech to teach you pretty much anything
Mhm.
in a short period of time.
So are the kids getting any kind of certification or anything like that in the program?
Yeah, so they get certification in learning to know what that skill is, say AR, VR, and MR, right? So
Mhm.
they'll learn what each one of them are. They will actually get a certificate learning how to do it, meaning even though I know the knowledge of it, I still may not know how to do it,
Okay.
right? So we take you through the process of you have to create a project. That project is your proof of work, right? So your resume says this. Now this shows that you know how to do what your resume
Is
says.
this certification
Accredited.
Tech Ignite, or is this association with Microsoft or anything like that? Who's the accreditation with or certificate through?
Okay, so we have accreditations with Tech at Night, but we also use third party partnerships.
Okay.
So in those third party partnerships, the Microsofts, the Googles, the all of them, they provide solutions for us to filter to
Mhm.
our students or our learners.
That's good. Let me ask you this: are the kids becoming? I think we talked about this. My biggest thing is: are they becoming consumers, or are they becoming programmers, or a combination of both?
Mhm.
What are our kids becoming in your
Okay.
program?
Okay. So one of the things that we see in that scenario, we like to teach the kids creative design. One, the ability to come up and generate ideas that you can turn into businesses, right? Because many of them will come in and it's like they don't have, not to say they don't have the creative energy, it's they don't know how to get into that space.
Okay.
So we try to get them into that space, and we break it up by giving them the opportunity to find what it is they like, right? And then we say, okay, we see all these different things that y'all like. All of the programs that we provide to them are interoperable and they're connected. So say, for instance, if it's AR, even though AR is what we're teaching you, you might be learning 3D modeling or 3D painting. These things that they are interested in specifically. The
Mhm.
AR, they might be like, okay, that's AR, I want to learn it, but they don't know the
Mhm.
use case of it.
Right.
So we teach them how to create products around it. So we had them creating images in which they turn these images into markers like this, and then they can scan the marker and they can be able to tell stories.
I remember one time we talked about was it it was during the Bitcoin space. You were trying to create
A token.
token. Let's talk about the
Mhm.
token. Is that concept you're still working on, or how's that going?
Yes. So, okay, we have a marketplace. The marketplace, which will host the buck, which is the legacy buck, as we talked about.
Mhm.
We create custom tokens that are run alongside of the actual programs.
So the program you're working on now, kids are able to get legacy bucks now, or that's not part of the program now.
Depending on their age.
Okay. Exactly.
So basically how we started to roll that aspect of it out, we had to lay the foundation first, like exposing them to the tools, right?
Mhm.
Once they showed that engagement, we've been to 59 different locations.
Okay.
We've showed the engagement. Now we're saying with each one of these locations, let's set up devices,
Okay.
right? Once we set up those devices, now let's implement the behavior PBSI system, which is the ability to do performance tracking around behavior, right, with the students. That's where the token comes in, the legacy buck. And on the legacy buck, it has different attributes that's related to, say, honor, integrity, and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the bucks that they win or are awarded for their behavior.
Okay.
In what? In one, attendance, the work that they do.
And what do they get at the end of this bonuses? What is it? Any money involved? What do they get with their bucks?
Okay, so the buck can be utilized many different ways. It has utility. So it could be a gift card. It can be either access to other events that we have, or it can be credited points that they can use at the various events and be able to buy and purchase products and services from the community partners
Oh, beautiful.
that are vendors.
Okay, cool.
So that way we can keep up with one, how the vendor is participating. In this case, say for instance, if it was Roots
Mhm.
and Roots we got 15 shirts we're gonna make available on that discounted for a student account, right? So that becomes a token.
Okay.
That token is connected to the student account once they are awarded.
Okay. So there's education, there's awards, and there's certification,
Mhm.
all within your program.
Yep.
Take a night. And the equipment that you use, these goggles and things like that, is that part of your operation you provide for students? How does that work?
Yes. So yes, we provide the equipment, the iPads, pretty much for the students mobily, but we also combine those with partners that already have things going on at those locations.
Okay.
Right. So different, we work with Robert Jameson and Project Inspire. They already had like computers set up.
Explain that
laptops and
program.
so
I've seen it a lot. I know the people that's involved.
Mm.
Tell me, what are they doing at that particular program?
Yes. So Lavonda Boyd and Robert Jameson Ministry are in partnership over there, and they was running a tech program, teaching seniors basic skill sets, right? So we had partnered with Robert Jameson through Evolve 502 initially in the first summer, 3 summers ago. And then over time, we just built relationships. And then we started another program that we implemented over with Project Inspire, in which we did many exposure boot camps in the daytime and in the nighttime for after school. Had a lot of engagement, had a lot of impact. Think from the last numbers we seen, it was like 90 students total, you know what I'm saying, that we was able to impact over there. That project in particular, they are growing that project and it's turning into to different things. And we're trying to partner on the equipment side to have equipment like this there so that we can get into more advanced skills training that's related to where the market is and going.
So when I was a kid, it wasn't that long ago, but when I was a kid, it was no tech, right?
Mhm.
It's basketball, football, you just physically did things. But do you find there's more educational opportunities and fun nowadays versus when I was a child, or what? Or you still have the traditional gyms too, but do you combine that with the traditional gyms?
Yes, you can combine that with the traditional things that they do. The sweet thing about XR Technologies, like how we doing with the ATM program with 50/50 mentoring over at South Louisville, we had basketball going on, we had VR going on, and in that VR setting, we was allowing the kids to do digital painting, create avatars, do work with AR and VR in a limited capacity. And now they've ordered 5 new gaming computers that came in. We also have some headsets and laptops that's going to be over there, so we can scale and make this program almost like a esports. So think of esports around education, though. So you can go to these community centers or the community partners yourself, and then they can get training workshops around what's available or what's in the location. It's all this history here in Roots 101. It's many stories to tell, but not only stories to tell, you can create a game off each one of these rooms. Each one of these rooms can be a game in itself in which people across the world are playing games in these rooms without even being in these rooms. So being able to teach them the skill set and show them the use cases, now you become a career pathway for them. Because one thing that's not going to change is the market. The market is saying this is where everything is going. So we're building and preparing for where the market is going, right? So that the students who are gaining these skills and getting this exposure ain't going to be bombarded when they get into school and it's a requirement. Or when they come out of school and they saying, look, we know you got a degree in this, that, and the other, but do you know artificial intelligence? Do you know prompt engineering? These skills are essential because the tech now Like, for instance, I create applications and web applications, but I use artificial intelligence. I knew how to do it previously, but with artificial intelligence, now I can pretty much create a prompt, and that prompt can build out 3/4 of the app or the web app for me, and then I can
Yeah, put the
manually
face-
do the rest of it
Okay.
the rest of the way,
Uh-huh.
or outsource it.
So how do you feel since you got involved with this over the last 4 years, 5 years? The growth has been unbelievable, correct?
Yes, it started out rough because VR in particular was so new, as you remember, like, trying to sell people on it and on the abilities of what it does, because it was mostly used by the military, so bringing it down to the education and business levels and the consumer level, this type of tech is different. But at the same time, many of the people have already been interacting with it.
Mhm.
So what we try to do, we try to show you how you've been utilizing artificial intelligence on your phone forever. And we saying everybody has to have a chat or a personal bot that's helping them with their personal business. So we've been developing the software to do just that. So
Mhm.
his name is Taz. So we gave the bot a name. His name is Taz, right? Which stands for taps, apps, and zaps. So that means tasks that you need done, right? It's gonna take those tasks, assess, build, and create a toolkit of apps,
Mhm.
and then create the workflows that you would need to automate, say, your email, your social media, your content creation, and so forth. But these tools still have to be manned or have some oversight with a human. So it's the human user interface, and then you have the bot, which is the AI interface, and we combine them together as a face-off.
So let me ask you this: what about interaction between kids? How is that happening?
Mhm.
Kids talk to each other, work, teamwork makes the dream work type of thing.
Yes. So we create like programs to where we break them up into teams.
Mhm.
So they work together, solo, co-op, and in groups to come up or to complete a project. So across the board, say if they learning in the last test we just did at Newburgh Boys in Newburgh Public Library with 50/50 mentoring and ATM program, we had it to where they was doing marketing plan. There was a marketing team for Angles Selfie Museum. And in there we created a social team, we created a web team, and the AI/print team. One, every business has to have social, every business has to have a website, and then every business has to have print. We just make the print AR so that it has interactivity to it. So that, say, for instance, if you go and I give you my card, I give you a digital card, you can click that card and it'll pull up the AI, and the AI will communicate back to you.
Cool.
You see?
So if you were wrapping everything up on what you've accomplished in these 4 or 5 years, tell us what is Tech Ignite today versus it was 4 years ago, or what is 50/50 mentoring as a partnership? How have both organizations grown from AI in your leadership? How does that work?
Okay. So yes, that's a good one. So we are at a little bit over 6,000 people in exposure, right? In 3 years, this is our third year, so we roughly at like 6,000 total, right? We have currently close to 400 students in the school across the city. Also, we was able to form partnerships with enterprise organizations like Engage, Victory XR, 3 Pound Games, Fusion Design, just to say a few. And we also have a partnership on the table with Google and Meta. That's a hardware play, but nonetheless, it gives us the opportunity to expose these different community centers to the technology. Because most of the time when we go to community centers, they don't have this type of tech, or many of them from these communities, they don't get exposure to this type of tech. When they go to different, they don't go out to expos. We bring an expo to them to say, look at all this different tech, look at all the new software that's out, and this is how you go about using it. And then with that exposure, and then them toying with it, and they're like, oh, I can do that with it, or I can do that with it. Then it's like, oh, I can create this. And then you just let them create and then see what they come up with. But nonetheless, it's not a waste of time. That's the main thing, because we identify reading gaps, math gaps. So as they design and get familiar with these tools, we're going to have them creating the tools for, say, the kids. They got Cocoa Millings, they got Gracie Corners. We creating all of that.
Okay.
That we want the parents to be able to have their voices on there. So when the animations are talking, they're hearing their parents talk. So that connection, that voice keeps them in the space where they are the influencer of their child.
I love it.
You see what I'm saying? Because we getting into scenarios where we seeing that the parents is wanting the schools to take care of the kids, and we see what that's turning into. And we can't put that pressure on the schools. We have to start at the first layer. The first community that they learn is at home. And then once they come from out of that first layer and go out into the actual community, now they have to have the ability to interact, communicate with the different parties across the community in an effective way that doesn't bring harm to themselves, but also allow them to be competent and be productive.
So basically, your whole AI presentation is dealing with a holistic approach for everything. Parents, are you dealing with discipline and all that?
Yes. Yep. So the way the community works, so Tech at Night stands for Social Currency Academies. So the Social Currency Academies are the partnerships that we create with community partners and design and develop out the programs for them, right? And then we help with outreach by bringing students or learners into those folds so that they could be trained up on life skills, but also they have the mentors in relation that they recognize. Like, oh, that's Mr. Lamont, or that's Nicole. They see us each and every day, and they have us on a certain pedestal, but how do we communicate and connect to them to make them feel inclusive?
Yeah, I love it. You know, I always tell you all the time, I don't totally understand it, but I know it's making a difference with our children. That's why I'm so supportive of what you're doing. And, you know, you always come back, you know, deeply rooted. Something started with you. You're the first camera operator, you're the first program operator. This is you too. So I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're doing better, bigger things. And welcome to Deeply Rooted, knowing that you're back home.
That's right. That's where I got my lunch from.
This is Lamont Collins, Deeply Rooted. Legacies matter, and so do you.